New Zealand tourism is just going through the roof. It really is. New Zealand is the destination of choice. We're clean, we're green, we're safe. We're safe. There's no terrorism. That's the big thing. And it's only going to get bigger. So you've got to be ready to ride that train, and you've got to have all your infrastructure there to capture those people who come to the bay.
This is the Ryan Marketing Show, and you're listening to episode 82 of 100. Today on the show, I have Di Ross from Cottages on St Andrews. I'm going to say based in Havelock North, but you're kind of between Hastings and Havelock North with your property here. We've just had a quick look around, but for the audience, describe what Cottages on St Andrews is all about.
Okay, we've got 6 private cottages set on 5 acres with petting animals at your front door.
Now, petting animals isn't the usual thing I see on a features list for hotels when I'm travelling. Was that intentional, or was that something that was already here when you purchased?
No, that's very intentional. When we purchased the property, the previous owner had just leased the land to another farmer who had sheep. But I wanted our guests to get up close and personal, and the only way we could do that was to have petting animals. So we introduced those over time.
And does that help? I'm imagining that's great for families that are staying here. But what's the general feedback, or what are people looking for when they're booking accommodation at Cottages on St Andrews?
I think a lot of them don't realise that we have the petting animals when they first book. They're looking for accommodation. They're looking for a bed first and foremost. We don't advertise under farm stays and things like that. So it's an added bonus. And people who don't even think they enjoy animals spend a lot of time mixing and mingling. We had a 70-year-old recently who had his whole family staying for his 70th birthday, and we were bottle feeding the lambs, and he was watching his grandchildren, and I turned around and looked at him, and he had tears rolling down his face. So I got a bit upset, "Are you okay?" And he said, "I'm 70, I'm a Kiwi, and how come I've never bottle fed a lamb?" So I made one of the kids give up their bottle for this one feed, and he's never been so excited in his whole life. His face just glowed. So it's a mix of the Kiwis and also the international guests. Love it. Asians especially, to be able to get in a paddock and touch a sheep's, as they call them, sheep's. Just an amazing experience for them.
It's unique. I mean, anyone can run a hotel or a motel and provide the beds, but to provide something which is a memorable experience, and particularly for someone that's 70 years old that's never had that experience, that's phenomenal.
That's our tagline. We provide an experience, not just a bed, and we hope you leave with fond memories, not just photos. So yeah, just our little point of difference.
Now, for those that haven't been to Hawke's Bay, they may not be aware of the location of Hastings, Havelock North and Napier. What's particularly unique about being situated here?
The fact that we're on 5 acres, but only 1 kilometre from the Havelock North village. And I think so you get the rural lifestyle, you're also getting the village experience, and the Havelock North village is amazing. So they can walk, they can be there in 10 minutes, or they can drive and be there in 2 minutes. Yet we're only 3 k's from Hastings and 20 kilometres from Napier. So we're very well situated.
And what are the types of events that people are coming here for? Is it for events that they're planning themselves, or is it more for Hawke's Bay wide events?
A real mixture. The Hawke's Bay wide events, it's great. Like last week we had Horse of the Year. We had 5 horses in our paddocks. So we had all the judges staying in the cottages, and we had competitors staying in the lodge, and we had the real competitors, the horses, staying in our paddocks. Matatini recently, they booked out the entire place, one group from somewhere up north, Te Puke. So there's, yes, the Hawke's Bay wide events bring a lot of people, but over in the lodge at the moment we have a family having a family reunion, and they're just staying here for 6 nights. Coming into the cottages tonight is another family here for 4 or 5 nights for a family wedding. They've booked out every cottage. So family events are huge because the entire family can stay together, but they've all got their own independent living in a cottage that suits their needs.
So for someone that hasn't booked here, how are they going to see your booking on, because there's lots of different review sites out there. How do you make sure that you put your best possible digital foot forward?
Okay, well, we've obviously got our own website, and we are also listed on the Havelock North Business Association site, the Hawke's Bay Tourism site. We're with Expedia, AA Travel, Agoda, all those other OTAs out there. But being number 1 under specialty lodging on TripAdvisor is huge for us because that brings us to the top regularly. And we've also been ranked number 1 by Trivago for accommodation in the entire Hawke's Bay, not just Havelock, not Hastings, but the Bay. Not sure how we did that, but...
That was my question.
Well, I actually contacted them when they sent me the congratulations, you have won, you are number 1. It was like, how did we do that? And they said, you have the best reviews of all accommodation providers in the entire Bay. So,
and that in itself is a massive achievement because no business can control every single review that goes up there. You can control what goes on your website, you can control potentially the volume of reviews, but you've got like nearly 200 excellent and 27 very goods on TripAdvisor on its own. How?
I think it is that point of difference. It is from the minute the guest arrives, it's the way you greet them at the door, it's the way you take every guest to their own cottage, show them how everything works. I don't just give them a key and point and say, there's your cottage, see you later. When they're at the door, I also ask them what they're doing, why are they here? If it's just a couple holiday, do you want a bike? Would you like to go on the cycle trails to a winery? Would you like to go down to Birdwood Gallery? It's only 4 k's away. What do you want to see and do? And generally, they don't know what to see and do if it's their first time here. So it's being the ambassador for the Bay and explaining what there is. Once you figure out what they like to do, they could be very active, so show them how to get to Tomato Peak. Or they may be more arty crafty, so sending them to all the right places. So it's spending a little bit of time with them before we take them to the cottage, and then just letting them enjoy the cottage experience without getting in their face.
Right, so you're more than just providing the accommodation and a great experience here. You're unlocking some of these local secrets that maybe would take them hours to find online, or maybe they'd never discover. That's
right. And things that they actually don't think they'd enjoy. Everyone thinks that, no, I won't go and do the Gannet Beach Safari because I actually, gannets don't do anything for me. It's not the destination. It is the journey. It's that 4 hours you've got to be on the back of that tractor and Colin taking you through the water and then seeing what happens with all those fault lines and with every earthquake, how the land's moving. And it's such an experience. So I've sent so many people on that never wanted to go, and they've come back raving that is a world-class experience. So, sometimes it's just twisting their arm a little bit as well.
Kim and Colin will be very happy that you said that. I did interview them on the show, and I think one of the magic things is you go out there on a tractor, and you're open in this tractor as you're driving along the beach. So it is a fantastic experience. So I guess then for you as an accommodation provider, you're also providing a service for local operators.
Yes, hugely. And even talking of Kim and Colin, they went into our new cottages when we first built them. We had an open day, and there are pictures of their mechanics that I took when I went out on a famil. And they asked could they have some for their office because I'd put them all up on canvases. But yes, I really support the good operators in the Bay.
And what would be your ideal day if you were managed to take some time off from actually being here and making sure the guests are happy? What would be your ultimate day out in Hawke's Bay?
My personal day?
Yeah.
My personal day would be getting on a bike and heading off to a winery. Yep. We've got some beautiful trails, we've got some beautiful wineries, and that's what we do on our days off.
You can't beat it. We've got the coastal cycles.
Yes.
And then also around the Tiawa as well.
Yes, in the triangle.
On the triangle,
Yeah,
on
so,
your bike. That one is.
Yeah.
So onto the business side of things. What got you into accommodation?
It's a journey. I got into the call centre industry when I was 19. I built my first call centre down in Wellington as a bureau and was running 24 by 7 call centres. And I was in that industry for 28 years. And then as a camper at the Ohope Beach Top 10 Holiday Park for 16 years, I got to meet the owners, and by chance, just a conversation over a drink, found out that they were looking for a park manager, and I thought, that's me. I love camping, I love the outdoors, I love the beach, and so I packed up, went back to Wellington, but I wrote them a letter. I said, I want to be that person. 2 days later, I was back up there being interviewed and offered a job on the spot. And so 5 years of running the Ohope Beach Holiday Park, I knew that accommodation was my future. And we spent a couple of years looking for holiday parks throughout New Zealand and they just couldn't find the one that ticked every box. So carried on with life and ended up running the Waikanae Beach Holiday Park for the Gisborne Council for a little while. That was so hard. When you've been self-employed your whole life or been given total autonomy to run a business and then being totally restrained by bureaucracy and told, no, it's not in a 10-year plan, you can't do that, you can't hire, you can't fire. I said to my partner, right, I've got to get out of here. And so we decided that we'd look in the Bay. We both thought the Bay was a great place to live. We came down looking for a house. That was all we were looking for, was a home. But when we drove up this driveway, that was it, because I was born and bred on a farm. And so to have a mix of the accommodation plus animals, I thought, this is me. I've just died and gone to heaven. And in fact, they'll have to wait till I die before they will take me out again. So
there's a lot of similarities there between the call centre side of things, which is very much about making people happy, making your staff happy, making sure they're smiling through the phone.
Yes.
And then working as an accommodation operator. Do you have other staff that you then need to train to help with that on the property here, or is it all you and your partner?
It's all my partner and I, but with the lodges that we've got now, or the lodge that we've got that we've purchased recently, I've gone in with my son and daughter-in-law, and they had already worked with me up at Ohope in the varsity holidays, so I already knew they had all the skills required to carry on. So no, they're doing a brilliant job.
So from when you took over, obviously it didn't have all of the buildings and places that it's got now. How did you know when was the right time to start expanding and taking on debt, or at least investing to make this even bigger than it was when you first got into it?
When we first got into it, it was very much just a lifestyle block that brought in some pocket money. There was no branding, there was no website, there was nothing. So I had to start from scratch. But I knew even when we were pretty much full most of the time, there just wasn't enough revenue to make it really worth my while. And I was sick of putting out the no vacancy sign. So it was, right, let's turn that tractor shed into a studio. And let's spend 18 months fighting the council to get resource consent to build some more cottages. So we are up to the maximum number of bedrooms we're allowed on this property. And then we had the same problem, the no vacancy sign kept going up. So we then were very fortunate to purchase the property behind us. So, we could double our bed numbers again. But I think we're at our maximum unless we can buy everything up the street.
I mean, it's an ideal location you've got, and it is massive in terms of just you can see out to the horizon, which I think is always magic if you're staying in a place and you've got that feeling of space.
Yes. Yep.
What does it take to work in the accommodation industry for someone that's thinking, they're doing really well where they are now, but they want a change of pace and they're considering working in this industry or tourism? What's some of the things that they may not be aware of or things that they would need to prepare themselves for?
First off, it's attitude. You can't teach attitude. You either love people and love helping people, love seeing them happy, or you don't. And unfortunately, there are too many in the industry that shouldn't be there because they don't enjoy doing what they do. So that is number one. We are very, very fortunate because we're 4+ Qualmark rated. We're not backpackers, we're not budget. We get a really nice class of people who are all very respectful of our property, of the other guests when it comes to noise and giving everyone the privacy that they want when they're here. So we haven't had too many pitfalls. We really haven't. But yeah, for anyone getting into it, there's no such thing as a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday when you're in this business. You work when you have to, and you tools down and feet up and have a glass of wine when you don't have to. So yeah, I think it's hard for me to tell someone that maybe in a different type of accommodation sector, if it's a hotel or motel, you very much have to be there all the time. We don't. We have a lot of freedom with the cottages. We will put guest name on the whiteboard and we'll get on our bikes and we'll take off to a winery. They arrive, they see that they're in cottage 4, off they go, let themselves in, and they see us when we get home.
Right, so that actually gives you some strength to be able to recharge your own batteries and enjoy your own life without having to just sit at a reception counter 24/7.
Correct. And go and explore the bay so that we can tell our guests what else is out there.
Got it. That's smart. So that actually does set you apart from a lot of the motels and hotels around the place.
Yep.
Another interesting thing you said there is around attracting the right type of guest. That's come out in a number of the interviews. I know Jared at Common Room, he also mentioned that having the right type of guest is really important. Phil at Revenizer as well, attracting the right type of customers was something he did for his marketing agency for his clients. Are there things that automatically exclude the wrong type of guests that you market, or are there things that you really push on the feature side that attract the right type of people?
There's two things here. I know Qualmark a couple of years ago wanted to give us 5 stars, which most people would just die for. That's great. Everyone wants to be 5-star. I actually asked if we could trade down to 4+. She thought I was crazy. And I said no, because then people want luxury. They expect the chocolate on the pillow. They expect bathrobes and slippers and things. And we don't want to be that. We want people just to come in, to feel at home. And I didn't want the bar too high where we weren't exceeding people's expectations. I didn't want that 7-star person who normally stays at Versace to come in. I wanted real people who want real experiences and have real fun and, get out in the paddock and get some poo on their shoes and not complain. So
that's really smart, because what you're saying by saying no to a 5-star endorsement is you want to set the expectations lower than where they actually are.
Yes.
So everyone's always delighted.
Yes. Because even 4+ is excellent. So, hey, they're going to get an excellent experience. But, yeah, I don't believe we're luxury.
What does the 4-star, to get that level, what are all the things you had to go and get right from, taking over the business, what, about 6 years ago, was it?
7 years ago, yeah. We've gone through and we've completely redecorated every cottage, everything from start to finish, and put our little trademark on it. But I think the number one thing is cleanliness. Is absolutely paramount, that when people walk in, there's not a spot of dust, there's no cobwebs, there's no mice poos, even though we are in, there could be field mice everywhere. That's number one for us.
I noticed when you give me the tour there, even the little details like the smoke alarms are designer smoke alarms. They're caviars. I know that they've got 10-year battery life, so yeah. I'm not going to have a beeping smoke alarm the day before my birthday or wedding,
right?
And those are the little things that really matter.
They are. And there's so many other things that we've done here, just the silly little things like concreting the entire driveway. Like I can walk out the front door and I can go to every single cottage in bare feet because I'm not going over chips or anything. So anyone pushing a pram, the kids with their little trikes or rollerblades or scooters or grandma in her wheelchair, they can all get around very easily. But it's also less work for us because we don't have to have a backpack on our back spraying all the weeds that were coming up through the chip seal.
It seems such a little thing, yet what it sounds like you've done is applied design thinking to the experience, which is all of those little things that wouldn't necessarily detract, but they can take away from delighting someone. You've thought of and solved them.
Yes. And trying to make our life easier. We put ourselves in the guests' shoes. That's what we try and do. What would the guests like to see? What would they like to do? And I think it's spending a fair bit of time with the guests and getting feedback from them. What can we do better? When you come next time, what would you like to see changed?
Do you have many repeat visitors?
Oh gosh, now we've just got a new booking system where we've always been able to record our source previously, always, but we've never been able to report on it. And now we're getting all these reports back, and our return guests and word of mouth is well over 50% now.
Man, that makes it amazing business, because you know that they're going to be happy because they've stayed here before. They know what to expect. You know what to expect. You get to know them, and that's the whole lifelong relationship side of it. Yep.
We've had one couple from the UK have been coming for 7 years now, for 3 weeks every year for Art Deco. And they've just become like family. They really are. It's just amazing. We love it.
There's plenty of tourism operators in Hawke's Bay, in accommodation and as suppliers of experiences and so on. What advice, because you've won some pretty decent awards with Tourism Hawke's Bay, what advice would you have for others wanting to improve their operation?
I would certainly recommend that they join Hawke's Bay Tourism as a member. That's number one. Go to the workshops. They're amazing. They put on so many workshops that cover so many different fields, and go to the networking nights and go to the quarterly updates, because that's where you mix and mingle. Go and find the ones that are doing well and rub shoulders with them and talk to them and invite them to your premises and ask them what you could be doing better or how you could change things. I went to one session, and must have been about, maybe it was TripAdvisor put it on, and about reviews, and one of the moteliers just stood up and swore, and how the hell are you supposed to get any bloody reviews to put on? And it was like, whoa, I wonder why you don't have any, with an attitude like that, and it was, I've spoken to other operators about working with their database, and they've turned around and looked at me as if I'm mad and said, what database? And I said, don't you collect the email address of everyone that contacts you, or every email you get in as an inquiry? Don't you then keep that and then send them a monthly newsletter telling them what's on in the bay, giving them an excuse to come back to the bay and why they should be coming at Easter, because it's the big easy bike ride, or it's horse of the year, or it's this or it's that? And they just looked at me as if I was mad.
That seems like the whole fundamentals of marketing is if you've got your customer data, particularly email address, that's the key to be able to continue communicating with them.
Absolutely. And every guest that stays with you, you've got to ask for their email address because you're going to send them a confirmation. Well, then when they leave, you're going to ask them for a review. So it's pretty fundamental, really.
Okay, so ask the right questions. Get to know the people that you admire in your industry.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to go out there and network. Join the right organisations, with Tourism Hawke's Bay being at the top.
Yes.
And collect the information so you can do something meaningful with those customers to attract them back to the bay.
Correct.
Sounds pretty simple, but like a lot of hard work. I'm sure there's a lot of confusion.
No, it's not hard work. And I think because a lot of the accommodation providers, they are all self-employed. They work on their own. There's no better avenue than these networking nights or afternoons or whatever, where you can be with like-minded people and chat and share experiences and what's working for you and what's not, and has it been a good season, and what are your forward bookings looking like. You might have think, oh, this just isn't working, my forward bookings are shocking this year. Yet if everyone else is feeling the same, well, actually it's not so bad after all. And then suddenly, bang, you've got a flood of bookings, and it's like, yay, it's okay. Yeah, but something you need to get out and talk to other people in your industry.
That's great advice. What's the overall? Do you have a picture or a view on the overall sort of tourism industry in New Zealand? Like, where does Hawke's Bay now fit into the overall tourism map?
Hawke's Bay tourism is doing an absolute amazing job. Our growth is incredible. In fact, I think it was last quarter we had the highest percentage growth in tourism numbers in the whole of New Zealand, a 22%. And I think the next closest was about 12%. Annie Dundas and her team need absolute medals. They work their butts off. There's only a small team, but they work very, very hard. So for Hawke's Bay, it's great. A lot of operators, they'll stand up at a meeting and say, well, sort of, what are you doing for me? They're looking at individually. Why aren't you helping me? Why aren't you increasing my numbers? And that's not their role. Their role is to bring people to the bay. It's up to the individual operator to then get those tourists into their own accommodation. And so they've got to start doing some work themselves. New Zealand tourism is just going through the roof. It really is. New Zealand is the destination of choice. We're clean, we're green, we're safe. We're safe. There's no terrorism. That's the big thing. And it's only going to get bigger. Tourism's just going to go through the roof. So you've got to be ready to ride that train, and you've got to have all your infrastructure there to capture those people who come to the bay.
That's great advice. And I'm sure if Annie's listening, she'll love to have, for you to have mentioned her and what a great job they're doing there. Now, you've got your additional purchase of land and property there. Is that all up and running now?
Yes, it is. Yes, we purchased that in 2015 in September and had it running by Labour weekend. So we had 7 weeks to completely transform an 8-bedroom house into visitor accommodation, and it's going gangbusters. It's really good.
And how many can you sleep now across the whole
50.
50 people.
50 people on 10 acres. So 20 in the lodge, and the biggest asset there that everyone tells us is the dining table, which is huge and can seat 20 people. And everyone said just being able to sit around at night and have a drink and all be around the same table or playing cards, but they're getting up in the morning, wearing your PJs and sitting there for coffee. Everyone said that they just never want to leave. They just, got all these other events they're supposed to go to, but they're having so much fun hanging around the table and catching up with friends and family.
Isn't that great? Because the more that we've now connected with all these different devices, actually the less we get to do that. And you've created something here which is a canvas that enables people to catch up around a really large table with people maybe they haven't seen for a while or are meeting for the first time. And this is a great way of making all that happen. Right,
indeed. So family reunions and Granddad's 85th birthday and things like that are great family times, and it works well.
Excellent. Well, I'm really fascinated with how you've come into the accommodation industry and what you've created here, like just to go around and, you know, see the farm aspect of it and being actually on an area where you can see the animals as you just walk out on the deck. I can imagine myself there with a red wine, just kind of watching those two animals, their buckhorns. So from here, is there any other questions that I haven't asked that you wish I had asked, or anything that you want to add to kind of round things off?
No, I don't think so. I think you've covered pretty much everything.
Excellent.
Where from here? I don't know. Our mission last year was to be number one, and we never thought we would so quickly, and we are. So now I guess the mission this year is to stay at number one.
And that's sometimes harder than getting to number one, because it's easy to be number one for 1 year, but to do it for 2, 3, 5 years takes real continuous improvement and consistency.
Exactly.
Well, good luck on that journey.
Thank you very much, Ryan.
And thank you for participating in the 100
Oh.
CEO interviews.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Great.
If you like this episode, remember to subscribe for free on iTunes. Simply search for The Ryan Marketing Show in the iTunes store.